afternoon and welcome to the first Eye on Sheridan of 2013. I'm Justin Goulet.
And I'm Chanelle Ouellet. Today on the show, an anthrax-type scare at Sheridan College. Public elementary school teachers promised to walk off the job on Friday, and high school teachers are being told to say no to extracurriculars.
But first, breaking news in sports. Here's Collin with some big news for Leaf fans.
Thanks, Justin. Hockey fans were blindsided with some major news today. Brian Burke was relieved of his duties as president and general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. A press conference was held earlier this afternoon where Burke's former assistant Dave Nonis was named as his successor. We've got more details on the move and all the latest on a crazy day in sports, so don't go anywhere. Now back to the desk.
Here at Sheridan, police investigation continues after an envelope containing a white powdery substance and a threatening letter was delivered to Trafalgar campus. Stephen Pike has the story.
On Monday, we received a package at Trafalgar campus, and when that package was opened, it was found to have traces of a white powdery substance inside. Once that was discovered, the Halton Region Police were called immediately, and they came on site.
We were called by school faculty for Sheridan College in response to a suspicious envelope that had been delivered to one of the faculty members. When the uniform officers arrived, based on what they uncovered, they decided to contact our explosive disposal unit, which attended, examined the envelope, found the substance therein to be, shall we say, innocuous. It was subsequently transported away from the facility, and an investigation is ongoing to determine who actually sent the envelope.
So at this point, the investigation remains ongoing. We are certainly cooperating with the police in that investigation and hope to have resolution as quickly as possible.
The investigation is still ongoing here at Sheridan. Police are asking anybody with information to come forward and call them. For Eye on Sheridan, I'm Stephen Pike, Oakville.
It looks like the kiddies are about to get a long weekend as tens of thousands of Ontario elementary school teachers and early childhood educators are planning a one-day protest for Friday. Reacting to recent collective agreements, the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario President Sam Hammond says the McGuinty government is deliberately wiping out the democratic rights of educators instead of negotiating. Just when high school students thought football tryouts might be kicking off, the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation is refusing to play ball. The union is forbidding its 50,000 members from returning to voluntary extracurricular activities. Despite pleas from Premier McGuinty to restore clubs and athletics, a post on the OSSTF website states in capital letters and in bold that teachers will not be participating outside the classroom.
Ontario public servants have reached a tentative 2-year agreement with the governing Liberals. The agreement confirms a 2-year wage freeze to battle the province's $14.4 billion deficit. More details will be released once the agreement is ratified.
The Toronto District School Board is apologizing for plagiarizing several passages in a recent Toronto Star article. Parts of Spence's article on the subject of the importance of sports to young people were taken from a New York Times opinion piece from 1989. Spence acknowledged using material without proper attribution and described his actions as careless and sloppy.
The 7 Liberal hopefuls jockeying for control of the Ontario government will square off tonight in a final leadership debate. The most recent showdown, held last Sunday in Ajax, drew a crowd of school teachers protesting the McGuinty government's recent negotiating tactics. Previous debates have seen candidates tackling issues like healthcare and environmental policies. The party will choose the next Liberal leader in Toronto on January 27th.
The City of Toronto will have its first public consultation today on whether or not to bring a casino to the city. The session will happen tonight at 6 p.m. at City Hall and is one of the 5 hearings scheduled throughout the city until January 19th. Feedback from the hearing will be compiled into a report to be presented to the Mayor's Executive Committee, which will make a recommendation on a casino March 20th. But the final decision on any proposal will rest with Toronto City Council.
Toronto Mayor Rob Ford won't support bringing back photo radar. Police Chief Bill Blair is pushing for the cameras so more officers can concentrate on crime instead of traffic violations. But today, Ford quickly put the brakes on the idea, saying at the end of the day it may not create revenue.
A recent court ruling on the legal status of the Métis people may result in an increase in people claiming Métis heritage, as well as an increase in those receiving financial benefits from such a designation. A federal court ruling Tuesday gives Métis and non-status Indians the same rights and privileges as status Indians. The government of Canada is expected to challenge the ruling.
Chief Theresa Spence says she will not attend Friday's meetings with Native leaders and Prime Minister Harper unless Governor General David Johnston decides to attend. Chief Spence has requested the Governor General attend in his role as the Queen's representatives in Canada. A spokesman for Johnston indicated last week he would not attend.
Lawyers in the case against accused killer Luca Magnotta are in court to determine the details of his preliminary hearing set to take place in March. Magnotta is in the courtroom as his attorneys negotiate, but a publication ban is now in effect. The 30-year-old is facing multiple charges, including the murder and dismemberment of visiting Chinese student Zheng Ling in Montreal back in May of 2012.
Canada's Military Police Complaints Commission is hearing final arguments today in the suicide inquiry of Corporal Stuart Langridge. A veteran of Afghanistan and Bosnia, Langridge hung himself in March 2008 after being ordered back to base for treatment of drug and alcohol abuse. Filing a formal complaint, his family says this tragedy needs to be used as a springboard for changing the care given to veterans.
A pair of judges in northwestern Quebec are suspended and under investigation for allegedly buying drugs. A former gangster turned police informant named Michel Thibault says he sold the judges cocaine before they were appointed to the bench. The claims come in the wake of a 2010 sting operation that has resulted in a steady stream of arrests. The judges have yet to respond to the allegations.
As an unusually potent flu season sweeps across North America, tracking the brutal bug is suddenly much easier thanks to the internet. Google's Flu Trend feature tracks flu activities around the globe. Here in Canada, but especially in Quebec, outbreaks are intense, while New Brunswick is the only province that appears to have dodged the virus. In the U.S., border states like Montana and North Dakota have been hit especially hard.
A report by the Royal LePage Company says the drop in Canada's real estate market that began in 2012 is expected to continue. However, the market is likely headed for a soft landing rather than a crash. The report also indicates prices will flatten in cities such as Toronto and Vancouver, but will continue to rise in strong economies of Alberta and Saskatchewan.
According to Stats Can, more Canadians are staying at home to vacation, but fewer visitors are crossing the border. Spending for tourists who live in Canada rose 1.6% during the third quarter of 2012, but the money spent by international tourists dropped about the same amount.
Tech heads are buzzing in Las Vegas this week at the annual Consumer Electronics Show. 3D displays are out, but the ultra high def is in. Samsung is putting all their chips on a massive 85-inch flat screen that boosts 4 times as many pixels and twice the resolution of TVs currently on the market. But priced at a cool $30,000, wouldn't you rather pay off your student loan or buy a new car?
After the break, Sheridan Arts and Design students light up the Trafalgar campus.
And we'll have more news from around the world, including devastating wildfires in Australia. Stay tuned.
And a break. That caught me off guard, sorry.
What's happening? Welcome back. Sheridan's craft and design students are putting their creative minds to great use on a giant multi-program project. Our cameras caught art in action earlier today.
We get put in the groups first day, so Monday morning we got put in the groups. Didn't know anything about it really. We just kind of had to work everything out from there. So it's pretty fun.
SHED is the name of the project. It's not an acronym, so it doesn't stand for anything. It's shedding light, shedding inhibitions. It's really about making networks and meeting people and sharing. Yeah.
There's about 12 students in each group, and we all collaborate, all the studios, and there's a lot of workshops going on as well. So it's cool to go in and actually get a good idea what the other students in the craft and design program do.
Quite an ambitious project, I think, to bite off for the first time. And I think we're all really happy how it's been going so far, because there has been a huge organizational effort on everybody's part. The projects in whatever state that they happen to be in will be being mounted in the Sheridan Gallery for an exhibition. And then we'll be making selections from those pieces. And there's another exhibition opportunity in conjunction with Design Week downtown in Toronto at Design Republic.
This is the very first time they're kind of asking us along the way how we feel about things and just playing around trying to figure it all out.
I think we've really taken a big risk this week, and we're doing something quite different. And my sense is it's going to pay off.
News: nearly 60 people are injured following a ferry crash in Lower Manhattan this morning. The cause of the accident is unknown at this time, but authorities are investigating. Passengers describe being thrown violently as the ferry pulled into the dock at a high speed. The ferry, which originated in New Jersey, had over 300 people on board at the time of the accident.
A 21-year-old Edmonton area student is dead in Mexico after falling from a second-floor resort balcony. Chris Rogers of St. Albert, Alberta, died following an altercation at the Grand Parnassus Resort in Cancun Saturday night. Mexican news reports say a fight broke out and Rogers was punched in the face. Afterwards, witnesses say he was hallucinating, then fell to his death.
A blistering heat wave in Australia has turned the land down under into a living hell. Firefighters continue to battle wildfires across 300,000 acres of forest and farmland in the country's southern region. No deaths have been reported, but about 100 people are missing in Tasmania. The temperature on Monday reached a record high of over 40 degrees Celsius. Thankfully, cooler weather is just on the horizon.
3 of the 5 men accused of raping and murdering an Indian woman in December are pleading not guilty, according to their lawyers. The 23-year-old died in a Singapore hospital just 2 weeks after being beaten and gang raped while riding a commuter bus in New Delhi. The crime sparked outrage across India and around the world, with protesters rallying as recently as Monday. As a result, the case is being pushed through India's controversial fast-track court system, with pre-trial hearings taking place this week.
48 Iranians are freed by Syrian rebels in the first major prisoner swap of the Syrian civil war. The Iranians were in captivity since being captured outside Damascus in August. Over 2,100 prisoners were freed by the Syrian government as part of the exchange. The swap was coordinated by Turkish humanitarian aid agency IHH. Venezuela's highest court is agreeing to delay the inauguration of ailing President Hugo Chavez. Entering his 4th term, the 58-year-old socialist leader is suffering from an undisclosed type of cancer and has not been seen in public for almost a month. Opposition leaders are insisting Chavez must be sworn in as scheduled or be forced out of power. Meantime, his inner circle ensures he is fulfilling his duties as head of state. Venezuela's constitution does not specify what happens if he fails to take office on January 10th.
The Obama administration is not ruling out removing all troops from Afghanistan in 2014. The comments come days before President Obama is to meet with Afghan President Hamid Karzai in Washington to discuss the United States' future role in the country. The U.S. is considering all options concerning the numbers of troops and their responsibilities that will remain following the end of the current military mission.
The Kenya Wildlife Service says an elephant family of 12 has been slaughtered just north of Tsavo National Park, the country's largest wildlife reserve. Professional poachers hunting ivory gunned down the stampeding herd with automatic rifles and continued by hacking off the animals' valuable tusks. Among the dead is an infant calf. Officials say this is one of the worst cases of poaching in Kenya's history.
For the first time ever, a Japanese research crew filmed a giant squid in its natural habitat. This was an exciting find for the crew after logging over 400 hours in their past 100 dives. The squid was spotted at a depth of 630 meters, about 1,000 kilometers south of Tokyo. Check out this rare glimpse of the over 3-meter-long creature, which in the past has only been seen washed upon shores. The scientists managed to study the squid for over 4 hours until it broke one of its tentacles off, trying to free itself from their line.
Well, oh my, that is one massive creature.
I know, that's a crazy story.
I would not want to find that in my bathtub.
Very cool find, though.
It is just huge. Oh my goodness. Coming up after the break, we'll have all the latest in sports and entertainment,
including Lance Armstrong opening up to Oprah and your take on the People's Choice Awards. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Now we have all your latest sports news.
Here's Collin Van Ooyen with more on the Leafs and Brian Burke. Collin?
Thanks, guys. Well, the pugnacity and truculence era is over, as Brian Burke was fired as Toronto Maple Leafs president and GM today. Now, he will stay on the team with the team as a senior advisor. Despite his bold approach, Burke was unable to lead the Leafs to the postseason in his 4+ years at the helm. Assistant GM Dave Nonis will take over as vice president and general manager. His ties to Vancouver have led to speculation that the Leafs may go after Vancouver goalie Roberto Luongo. Sticking with hockey now, the NHL universe has been abuzz since the lockout was put to an end this Sunday morning. Here's Brent Brown with more on the wide-reaching effect of hockey's long-awaited return.
As we finally inch closer to the NHL season, the Board of Governors meeting will be held this afternoon in New York. 30 team owners are expected to vote to ratify the new CBA. We asked some people around the school to see their reactions.
Well, I'm just, it's been a long lockout. I'm just happy to have hockey back in town. It's pretty exciting now that there's actually some hockey on TV, some good sports to watch finally.
It's good. I think the season might be a little crammed. Like, it's hockey every other night now, but I think it'll be good.
I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Leafs play and hopefully make the playoffs.
Hoping that the Leafs go far and hopefully win the Stanley Cup.
Gary Bettman says the framework of this latest CBA will last for 10 years. And any teams can drop 2 players from their roster without penalties.
I expect it to be a pretty good season in that the one good thing is there's no games to be wasted, so they're really going to be going at it. It's almost going to be playoff hockey from the beginning.
The full 48-game schedule will be released once the agreement has been ratified, and the season will begin on January 19th. This is Brent Brown reporting for the Eye on Sheridan, Oakville.
This afternoon, Cooperstown announced the 2013 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame class. Not only were steroid-era superstars like Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds left out, but not a single candidate received the 75% of votes needed to get the nod. Craig Biggio was the closest, falling 39 votes shy. This is the first time since '96 that no one received enough votes to be inducted. New allegations against disgraced cyclist Lance Armstrong have one of his representatives trying to make a donation of around $250,000 to the United States Anti-Doping Agency. That's what U.S. ADA Chief Travis Tygart told 60 Minutes. The New York Times is reporting that Armstrong was close to admitting the doping allegations himself. He has agreed to do a rare tell-all interview with Oprah on January 17th. Basketball might be coming back to Seattle. The owners of the Sacramento Kings are finalizing an agreement to sell the team to a group that hopes to move the franchise to Seattle for the 2013-14 season. The price tag on the lowly Kings is reportedly around $500 million. The group's plan, with the support of the NBA, is to play 2 seasons at Seattle's Key Arena before moving to a newly built venue. Yesterday was a good day for Sheridan Bruins basketball and a bad day for the Redeemer Royals. The men came out victorious with a huge 73-60 win led by Trevor Williams' 18 points. The women's team was even better, blowing out their opposition by a score of 68-37. That's just freakish numbers. On to the NBA hardwood now, where Kid Canada Steve Nash and the Lakers were in Houston to take on the Rockets. Second quarter now, Nash drops this cheeky little bounce pass to Anton Jamison for his 10,000th career assist. LA's early lead wouldn't hold up, though, not with Linsanity driving to the hoop with this kind of reckless abandon. He got the hoop and the harm. Rockets win. Over to Philly now, where it's the Sixers and Nets squaring off. Jrue Holiday was intent on taking on the entire team single-handedly, but it didn't really matter because the Nets were able to pull off the big win in the end. Sorry for those little technical difficulties there. We'll be moving on now. The Sixers are back in action tonight as they're in town to take on the Toronto Raptors at the ACC. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. That's it for me, guys. I'm all out of sports, so let's go over to Mary-Katherine for entertainment.
Thanks, Collin. Teen girls around the world may be relieved to find out that Harry Styles is reportedly single. The One Directioner and country star Taylor Swift had a romantic trick in the Virgin Islands before things turned sour. Swift left the island halfway through their trip alone, sparking rumors of a breakup. The couple dated for 2 months before the split. Calling all Twihards, Potterheads, and members of Swift Nation, tonight's your night that your vote matters. It's the People's Choice Awards. Nathan Peters has more.
The People's Choice Awards tonight?
I sure do.
Award season is on its way, and first up is the People's Choice Awards, tonight at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. If you want to support your favorite artists and actors, you can go to peopleschoice.com, where voting is still open, and you can check out each of the nominees.
So some artists that I enjoyed this year were the Black Keys.
Are you going to watch the People's Choice Awards today?
Favorite actress is Anne Hathaway. I saw her in Les Mis last night, and what she did in The Dark Knight Returns was awesome.
How about Channing Tatum?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Magic
yeah?
Mike? Like, no. How can you say you don't like him?
Exactly. And he was the sexiest man of the year, right?
Sure.
So
in my books, yes.
What are my chances for next year? I got to win, right?
I voted you for this year.
Oh, sweet.
I would definitely say my favorite movie this year was The Hobbit, and I felt like Ian McKellen gave a great performance as Gandalf in that movie.
The People's Choice Awards, for the people, given to the people, by the people, to the people. From the Beliebers to the Batman Beginners, it all comes down to the people's choice. Reporting for Eye on Sheridan, I'm Nathan Peters.
A Canadian documentary has won an award of a lifetime. Canadian actor-director Sarah Polley confessed in her documentary Stories We Tell. The film was inspired by her own personal struggles and obstacles she had in finding her own biological father. The documentary won Best Canadian Film at the Toronto Film Critics Association and was awarded $100,000. The 55th Annual Grammy Awards show just announced their 2013 musical lineup. The Black Keys, Rihanna, Mumford & Sons, and Taylor Swift are among many performing live at the ceremony. Don't miss the Grammys live on February 10th to see if your favorite musician goes home a winner. Trouble is brewing on the set of Anchorman 2. It seems thieves have it out for San Diego's favorite fictional news team. Over $300,000 in copper wire was taken from the set over the holidays. The building space that was rented by Paramount Worldwide Productions to make the movie was ransacked when robbers raided the ceiling and switch boxes for copper wire. 4 Apple computers were also stolen. The police arrived shortly after, only to find the suspects had fled on foot. An award of $5,000 will be given to anyone who can help solve the crime. The Oscar nominations are almost here. Tomorrow, the list of top movies will be revealed by world announcers Seth MacFarlane and Emma Stone. With predictions that The Life of Pi and Les Mis made the list, it's sure to be a great show. Tune into the Oscars on February 24th to root for your favorite movie. As for the anti-award show, the Razzies have announced their picks. The final Twilight movie, Breaking Dawn Part 2, takes the lead with 11 nominations, with Adam Sandler's That's My Boy falling not far behind. And that's all for entertainment. Let's head back to Justin and Chanelle in the studio.
Lots more to come on Eye on Sheridan when we come back. We'll have your weather update courtesy of Gurnek Singh.
It looks like a gorgeous weekend's on tap. After the break, we'll tell you about some potential record-breaking temperatures. We have breaking news. One person is dead following an industrial accident today at a workplace in northwest Toronto near Rexdale Boulevard and Kipling Avenue. Reports indicate the deceased was caught under a forklift. Police and fire crews are on the scene.
Are we in store for some great weather this weekend?
Gurnek Singh is outside with all you need to know. Gurnek?
Thanks guys, and yes you are. So it's not your typical January weather for this week, and some even milder temperatures are on the way. So if you were the few who received a snowblower for Christmas, luckily you will be not using it this weekend. And looking now, heading onto the 5-day forecast, Thursday will be a high of 4 and a low of -2, a beautiful day. Now heading towards the weekend, Friday, things will switch up with showers coming in with a high of 8 and a low of -2. Now Saturday is incredibly amazing with a high of 12 and a low of 7. Wow! I can't believe it. This is on a Saturday, on a January this year. And then on Sunday will be a high of 1 and a low of -3. And then Monday, you're seasonal with a high of 0 and a low of -3. So the beautiful weather is out, Sheridan, especially if you have this weekend off. Enjoy it. That's all for the weather for today, guys. Back to you.
A 6.5-meter Australian snake was in for a bit of excitement today after its annual weigh-in. Atomic Betty, the python, weighed in at over 306 pounds, almost double the size of the average person. The massive python is considered as a man-eater and had to be held by 5 zookeepers at the Australian Reptile Park in Sydney. Workers of the zoo say Betty maintains her figure by eating a steady diet of goats.
I guess we've got ourselves a common theme this newscast, giant big animals.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
So are you excited for all of this warm weather coming up?
I really am. Maybe I'll take out the longboard. You know, the snow does not really affect me. Maybe I'll go out and go for a little cruise. We'll see what happens.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited to work on my tan. I've got quite the fade going on, so.
I think January is actually the ideal month for tanning.
Oh,
you don't hear that a lot,
right.
but it's a little secret.
But if you heard it here, it must be true.
That's all we have for today. For Eye on Sheridan, I'm Justin Goulet.
And I'm Chanelle Ouellet. Have a great day.